It's the real estate show. We've come to sell DR.
Am I still on? Dragos is in the house. We're talking everything changing real estate proposals in the Dominican Republic. Buckle up and welcome aboard. And I think I already just made my own thumbnail. Oh, no. Okay, get this one down first, Jimmy. No, don't panic. It's all good. Okay, stop that song so the next one doesn't come in, which is an epic song. You've heard it before from my channels. This is where you find Mario Fama, who is my hero, not just recently become the guy's a legend online, right? So everyone likes a guy that's affable, that's articulate, that's hilarious, that's just the moxie that he rolls with it's something I aspire to. So here he is on his Facebook account. This is his website. All the links should be in the show description wherever you're watching. Twitter, what up? TikTok, I haven't figured you out, but this is where you find Mario Fama RD, which is Spanish for RD, which is how you say Dominican Republic in Spanish, República Dominicana. Is that how you say it? Brother, thanks for the time. I appreciate it. That was a long-winded glazing of my guest. I'm sorry about that, but I got a lot of time for a guy like you, man. You're natural. You don't try to be anything but yourself. I get it. I mean, I just, if your mic's not unmuted, maybe you could do that. Welcome aboard, bro. Thanks for the time. I know you're busy. Your mic's muted. Yeah, there we go. No, you're still muted. Do I got you? There you go. Yeah, you should be live now. What's happening? Oh, I got you turned down. I'm a dummy. It's me. The producer's a jackass. What a dummy. Just want to make you sweat at the beginning of the, if, you're starting to ease into the studio. I see you feeling it. And before you become a complete professional, it's time for me to kind of tease you with pretending that your mic's muted. Just throw you off a little bit. I know you're pretty cool on the fly. So, the first time I took the mic in a radio station was in 1993 in a political debate, and I went for my voice. It wasn't there, bro. And I didn't know that you use your vocal cords to cough. So when I went to clear my clear my throat to figure out what was going on, I didn't know, but I was in a state of panic. And I had no voice, and I tried to cough, and it went like this. Not even, you couldn't even hear, just puffs of air came out. And I'm like, man, I'll never be this scared again. I went to Toastmasters and learned I gave 10 speeches, learned how to take criticism and stand in front of 30 people and deliver a pre-written speech. And now I love
it's a lot easier than taking shit from Facebook. You get a lot more there. I'd rather deal with people one
You
on
know,
one, face
and
to
like,
face.
I look at you like you're a local legend, but I forget that it's like you have a very large expat group where you're very popular, good and bad. You know, they love to hate you and they also love to love you. There's nobody in the middle. It's like, oh yeah, well, whatever. You know, you like them or you don't. And so, but you forget it's a small island, man. But I want you to come to Twitter. You're built for it, man. You to be blow up on there too. I see you're doing well on TikTok. You've got like you started a year after I did on TikTok, and you got 4 times my followers already. So good on you. Way to go. I like the social media work.
I haven't really done much. You know, I gotta say, like, there are platforms that people use, right? But I'm just comfortable on like Instagram. My Instagram is the most active out of everything.
Oh, okay.
Because that's where I show everything. Some of that stuff goes to Facebook and then obviously to the groups. But like, if you see my Instagram, I have 1,000,001 things. I document everything there because that was even before I was like, while I was doing things in the expat groups, I was always doing things on Instagram. It's just my favorite platform, right? Like, you have platforms that you really like.
Yeah.
So between the stories, the reels, the posts, and everything,
okay,
because like not everything is to put up all the time permanently. So I put all these funny reels of things that happen and stuff like that. So that's really probably our most active because of how it works, right?
Okay.
You know, like it's got the reel might be up for 24 hours, then it's not worth seeing it afterwards. Some stuff I'll add to my stuff later on. So that's where I'm most active, and I've actually been pushing that a little bit more in the expat groups, because at one point I was only doing the expat groups for expat stuff, and then I had my regular life on Instagram. So I've kind of been meshing my Dominican life and my expat life on both, and more people have started following me on Instagram because that's really where you see me all the time. You know, because also, like, remember, the groups, they're not, I have one group I manage, but they're not all mine, so I can't even put half the stuff I put on Instagram. On Instagram, I can have 10 things that happen to me in an hour and I can put them up, and it's okay because it's my Instagram. People can see all this in the stories, that pop up, and it's just kind of like, hey, if you want to see it, cool. If you don't, you don't.
Do you start to feel like a media whore or attention whore when you're putting the same message up on 50 different like, I mean, I met a friend of mine at the beach the other day, and when I put a flyer up, I do it on the weekend because some groups don't let real estate postings up unless it's the weekend. I think I stopped putting them to your group because I don't think you allow real estate postings, right?
We do on the weekends.
Oh,
so that's
okay,
why
so
if you
maybe
haven't noticed it, even all the other groups, if you haven't noticed, all my real estate posts are only on the weekends.
Yeah, right.
Even for my own company and even for the law firm. During the week, I just do regular, like, hey, look at this accident. Hey, I went here. Hey, this is what happened to me here. I just tell stories during the week.
Yeah. So anyways, I saw a friend of mine at the beach the other day. She says, I saw all your shares, because she's probably in a bunch of groups. But if you're not in the Casa Linda group, or if you're not, like, I hit them, I'm in all of them and I hit them all. I'm not active in them all, but your group is the most active of all of them. And man, I go there just for the content, like the comments especially. And then you always come up first because you're one of my friends. So every time you comment, you're at the top of the comment list. And I mean, I don't want to glaze you too much, but it's you always have such great information and takes on things because you've lived it. How long have you been here now?
So I've been here for 20 years coming here, and I've lived here since 2017.
Oh, okay.
But like January 2017, but I also grew up with Dominicans in New York. So the thing is, like, I didn't discover it here. I've been around the stuff since I was 15 years old in New York. This was just coming to where the people I hung out with, you know what I mean? So it's not like, to me, this is just like, it's an extension of how I grew up. That's why. And it gets tiring. It does, like, when you have to put it all the groups. And I run one group, which is Expats Living in the Dominican Republic. That's the one that I admin with my friend D. Right. Now, that group there's another one that has way more people, but they also have no filter, meaning they let everybody do whatever. I have a policy in my expat group. Like, I don't allow expats to go in there telling people to go home and things like that. And I don't allow even locals. Like, if you're not going to contribute to it, it's an expat group. Because, in expat groups, one of the things that bothers me, it's like, look, it's an expat group, right? Sometimes the questions are going to be repetitive because new people are coming into the group, and the search bars, the way you look into those search bars, I've tried to look for even my own posts and my own comments. Like, sometimes I want to reference back to something and I have trouble finding it. So I understand people are going to ask the same thing. And sometimes people are going to say positive things, but sometimes people are going to vent. And if you can't go to an expat group and vent because of what happened, like today, on the way here, I almost died. I was coming into where Cana before the thing is. I actually laid down for 20 minutes. I was like trembling.
No shit.
That's why I'm drinking a beer. Yeah, I'm coming in, and they're coming out, making a left out of like Las Canas, Cana. Everybody's coming up the Cana Road, and I'm coming down. And at 5 o'clock, as I was getting home, 5:30, 20, whatever, it's major traffic coming out of there, and there's a big giant truck and another, not the red ones, but the big pickups, the white ones, the really big ones with like 40 Haitians in the back. And the guy's just in oncoming traffic. I had to swerve onto a little shoulder, almost crashed into the woods. Luckily, there was not a small car that overpasses me on the shoulder like they do sometimes, or a motorcyclist guy that I could have killed. So I almost died in a head-on accident for no reason. So when you think about that, yeah, people can vent about things like that, right? And what bothers me sometimes is when you're dealing with some of these expat groups, people, anytime they say something that's not like, oh my God, this is the best sandwich I've ever had, the best pizza, the best air, I had the best accident in DR. Like, if they rose-colored glasses, if they don't do that, they get told to go home. They get told to stop bitching, to stop complaining. No, expat group should be about everything, positive, negative, vent, ask, that's what we're there for, right? To understand, because, you also don't want to get, a lot of times in many places in here, you get gaslighted a lot. Something happens to you, and then you'll have a few people like, I don't know what you're talking about. I've always had 100% positive experience.
Have a great day.
Stop.
You want me to have the worst day. Don't tell me to have a great day. It's so patronizing. So, yeah, I love the entertainment, and I know that you got to have pretty thick skin when you put yourself out there, especially when you're doing completely idiotic skits. The golf course skit. I mean, if I had that on, I should put it somewhere like where I can watch it every once in a while, because your boys, it's just perfect. It's like, you're like, hey, let's do a skit. We do something like this. Just go. And you can tell, like, it's just the boys being silly, man. That killed me. The guy going, bring tequila or something.
It's just real life. What I try to do, I try to my best show unfiltered real life. Now, and I always say this,
join you with that beer.
Salud. With the criticism, right? When I get criticism, sometimes
you have
I
to
ask
drink
people,
after the salud, even though we didn't touch glasses. You still got to drink.
No problem. Michelob Light here. 2 grams of carbs. I don't know. 3.2 carbs. Yeah. I'm doing live carbs today. But like the funny thing is that when I share my life, my everyday life, right? And sometimes people get upset, and they're like, well, you're sharing this. They're upset at what I'm sharing, right? And I asked them, I'm like, wait, you're not upset at the situation that happened. You're just mad that I told the truth, which is super weird, right? Because I could understand if I'm giving you an interpretation of something like, I hate bachata, it's horrible. Every time I hear it, it makes me crazy. And then well, why are you in a country where they play bachata? That's understandable, right? Because I'm telling you something different. But if I'm telling you, hey, man, this is what's going on here, and this is how it works when you buy this, and this is how it works when you deal with this, and they're like, well, why are you telling the truth? Like, people get mad at me for telling the truth. And, I have a saying, whoever said the truth shall set you free was a liar, because most of the times it gets you into shit.
Yes.
Most of the times people want the comfortable lie, right?
Yeah.
They want it like everything. But hey, everything's no. There's great, there's good, there's semi-good, there's bad, there's really bad. So when it comes to that, I'm a mirror, right? I reflect what happens to me. Like, I just did a video right now I was in my car, and I was on a conference call with somebody. I'm sitting in my car and parked in Punta Cana village, and this wonderful expat lady who I have seen before gets into passenger car with boyfriend and just slams her door into my car. Now you can't see I'm in my car because I'm tinted out, right? Like, and I'm looking at her, like I literally, I'm on the call, and I'm like, how stupid are you? Like, she literally, because you don't want, not only my car you don't want to hit, but why would you want to hit the side of the car of your boyfriend's car and damage the door? No, people have no things. So I do things like that, and people are like, no, make no sense. So people are like, what do you, if you're mad at what I'm showing in my videos, you should be mad at what's happening, not at me. Like, don't be mad that I'm showing the accident. Be mad at the accident for why it happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The core of the problem, people. Focus on the core.
Bro, how do you put away your home life? Like, nothing really. Like, what we're going to talk about if we get to it. I mean, we were just rambling here, but I had you on to talk about the changes that are proposed and what you're doing and what people can do. But nothing that happens back home affects us here. Very little. I mean, interest rate. I mean, it's not, obviously there's lots of things, but politically, culturally especially, like, there's a culture shock going on in North America that people are just going, oh, this is the new normal, I guess. And I'm shocked. And I'm so grateful to live in a Catholic country now, and through talking to you, I realize that the church has a lot of political power and whatnot, and that's good and bad, but I don't mind it, living in a Christian country where they take those values pretty seriously. I mean, majority probably non-practicing, but maybe I'm wrong. Also, I wanted to ask you, what do you think the ratio of realtors that are registered in another country down here practicing is, what, roughly, in your experience?
24%. But that's where I came up with that number.
A quarter?
But I would say about a quarter. Definitely from people that I've spoken to.
Okay.
I think some might have been at one time registered, licensed in another
Right.
country. But I say actively right now,
Okay.
it's going to be probably about 25%.
Okay.
I would say, I could be wrong, but that's just what I see.
Good gut feeling. But anyways, I just wonder, I know you have to have thick skin when you do what you do online. Same thing with me in broadcasting. I don't get into politics much. This is the only foray into Dominican politics. The closest thing I've come is this. But, I'm wondering if you have any advice for a guy like me that's addicted to Twitter rage and addicted to the political, cultural landscape of my home, North America. I consider United States my home too, not even because I didn't live there, but I've got lots of friends and family there. So living here, the United States is almost as much as my home as Canada is, right? So I just wonder, maybe you don't suffer the same addiction I do, but like, if it doesn't affect my life here, I don't care if the world's flat. How does it affect my life? It doesn't. And especially right here. I see all these expats. Maybe once I figure it out, I'll run a course in it, because I see so many of these expats that think they've come down here to be happy, and they just bring their misery with them. They take it out on the locals when they don't get their order right at the restaurant or something, man. I just wonder if you had to find a way to turn out the events at home, or are you still just
Well, I'll explain to you a couple of things. What's going on at home? Obviously I moved my residency from New York to Florida because I just gave up on New York City. It's a shithole. Sorry. I grew up there, whatever. It's a shithole. I don't agree with a lot of stuff I don't agree with the state of where the U.S. is today. And at the end of the day, I am a U.S. citizen. And whether I like it or not, I was born in Romania. A Panamanian resident, but what I will always be considered is a gringo, an American, right? And I think I've become more American being abroad. Living abroad actually brought me closer to my roots of being an American, because that's what I am. Romanians wouldn't consider me Romanian, even though I was born there, because I wasn't raised there. So I don't know their plight. I don't know, I'm not like the Dominicans that lived the entire time in the United States, and all of a sudden they're like, I am Dominican. I was my roots. Yeah, and what? I got my roots are deeper here than yours. Stop it. Just because you come see your grandfather once a year? No. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing I applied to myself. Like, I'm Romanian, but I can't really speak on them because I don't go really there. I don't know what I can't. Right? What am I? I'm 100% American. Beer, bacon, bullets, baby. That's just what I am. And I'm not happy with the state of the United States. So I think I've gotten more into it now, seeing how us expats are treated, how we don't have any representation when we go abroad. All these things have really, people like to say that Americans are this, Americans are that. But when I go abroad, I see that 10 times, whatever the bad things you want to say about North Americans, I see it 10 times worse in Latin America in general, and not just here. Now, as far as my, if you're addicted to politics and stuff like that, well, because I speak fluent Spanish, I follow politics in this country. Like, I can tell you things better than most Dominicans can.
Really?
Yes, I follow everything. I'm addicted to because it affects us in many different ways, like the licensing right now. Right. Had I not been involved in all this, I wouldn't know what's going on. I also follow I'm a Panamanian resident. I'm working on opening up an office there. I plan on being a lot in Panama as well, as a second base. And I follow Panamanian politics, which are very interesting as well. There are a lot of things that I actually like that are going on in Panama, like political wise right now. The mayor of Panama, I'm super excited. Young guy, tons of great energy. I mean, he's like I can see that he has this inspiration from Bukele, from El Salvador. So seeing that is dynamic, seeing where the presidency's going with in comparison to the last presidency that was there. I follow politics in Medellin, especially, and Colombia, because my friend's there. I'm going to be going there a lot. I go there a lot. So I follow Latin American politics in 3 different countries right now. So besides seeing what's going on there, I know who's running for mayor. I know the mayor of Medellin is, running a triathlon in Cartagena this weekend, and I follow everything. I know what policy they're trying to pass. I know which things they're doing. I know that in Panama, the president put a lockdown on 2 of the cities that have crime there, because Panama City is pretty safe, but they have issues in some barrios, and they did a toque de queda. I follow all this stuff, so I get enough of everything. I like this stuff myself,
Cool. Let's hit it then. What's going on? Let's just give a brief 101. I'll sum it up by saying the Dominican government is finally dipping their toe in the pool, or rumored to be. I guess it's not so much a rumor. You've got the documents that they're looking to, for the first time, organize real estate agents with some sort of regulation or certification and require qualification. And what they've come out with would really, well, it would eliminate the expats completely from the equation. And so having said that, what have you done so far, and what are you planning to do next?
Okay, so first I'll explain to you what's going on so you know where I'm going with this, right? Because I'm in that circle of people, and what triggered it again, I've known this for a while. Like 2 months ago, the president that I put the video up, Bogart, I ran into him at a launch party in Santo Domingo, and we spoke in detail about this. And at the end of the conversation, I pretty much realized that nobody's really focused on expats, right? They're doing what they have to do. Now, it's not the Dominican government that's really spearheading this. This is lobbying. This is AEI, the association. He's the president, and some of the owners of the big firms in this country. And most expats, if you're in Sosua, Cabarete, Las Terrenas, you don't know these companies because they're selling these like brand new projects that you might not know. They're the Dominican companies out of Santiago. They're all based out of Santo Domingo, and then they have branches in Santiago and usually Punta Cana, right? So, these guys, they're lobbying for licensing. Now, any person who's a professional like me, those of us that are legally working here, and I'll explain what that means, we all want licensing. What I personally don't want, and what we don't want, is we don't want it to be discriminatory towards expats. And what's going on is they basically took the Panamanian law and they took out one covet. I don't know how to say it right. They took out, there's one thing in the Panamanian law where if you're not a 5-year resident or a citizen, you are allowed to be like a promotora, you get a salary. So I can own the company, which is how I'm opening up my company there, and legally under a Panamanian, and it has a certain thing. They took that out here conveniently, right? But we also can't compare the Dominican Republic, who goes out around the world saying invest, to everyone with any other country. I'm just saying they took the law from there because I know the Panamanian law, and they took out that one little thing that would have helped out the expats. Now, I see it as a private lobby trying to remove expats from the real estate industry. People like me, people like you, we're done if this happens, right? Now, they're saying to their defense, and this all started in a private group where I'm mostly Dominican brokers and a few expat brokers. And I'll get back to it. Like, expats a lot of times are your worst enemy, and I'll explain to you why. But basically, these guys are like, well, if you want to do real estate in this country, you should be a legal resident. But the law allows you to open up an SRL, to register as a real estate company, to pay taxes, to pay an accountant monthly, to file, because taxes are filed monthly, end of year, and then anticipo, after your first year, you have to pay anticipated taxes, right? So we're legally working legally. I'm not the guy that just says, hey, man, give me something cash under the table if I sell your property. I'm working legally. I can go anytime. A lot of projects, when I want to capture a project, they ask me to go to the Impuestos Internos. I have to show them a document that I can print out that same day from the government that shows them up to date with my taxes and everything. So this is all legal. Now, these guys, I got into an argument with them in private, and what really got my blood boiling, something always has to spark you, right? And my spark was, I said to them, I'm like, I'm 30 years licensed in New York City. I think I understand how this, blah, blah, blah. And they say, your 30 years in the United States means nothing. And my response is like, well, yeah, but your 0 years license here means everything. I think you need to take it down a little bit. I don't care who you are, what you are here. Don't disrespect me like that. Instead of coming to expats who have been licensed or now are licensed and ask for advice, they took a law from another Latin American country. And it seemed to me in my conversations with a lot of these people private in a WhatsApp group that they seem to be very anti-American. They were like, well, it doesn't matter because look at how you guys treat illegals in the United States. I said, let me tell you something, lady. I'd love to be treated as an illegal in this country. I want my $150,000 mortgage with 0% interest, no problem. I'd like to be housed in a luxury hotel up until you can give me my bono, and pay for my rent every single month. I need my allowance for food, clothing. I need a job that you're going to get from me, and no problem. I want to be treated like an illegal. I love it. The new American dream is to renounce your citizenship and go back and be an illegal. So don't ever tell me that. What do we do to our illegals? I think you watched a different movie than I did, young lady. Real life is not like that. So this whole thing started when it went into that. Now, my thought is this. This is what they're doing. They're lobbying to do this, and they want you to have a permanent residency, which takes 5 years. But to get your original residency takes anywhere from 6 months to 2-3 years. in this country, as my partner who's an attorney said to me in the conversation, he said, Mario, in Dominican Republic, 2 + 2 doesn't always equal 4. There are people who forget about the old. Let's remove these old timers in the groups that are like, blah, 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 I got my residency. You got it 10, 20 years ago when it was easy. The way things work now, you're either going to get your residency in 5 to 10 months, or you're going to get it in 5 to 10 years. There's like no in between. You see it a lot of times. I'm starting to save comments from groups in WhatsApp where people are like, hey, man, my thing expired. Now I got to go back to my country, pay money again. I'm in that same boat. I'm a refugee. I got 2 visas and 2 passports. They made me get one piece of paper. I spent $7,000 in over 2 years waiting time after I was already approved for a visa, after I paid for everything here. And at the last minute, they're like, where's this document? I'm like, why did you give me a visa? Why did you make me go to 2 countries and do all of this? And now you're asking for a document I don't even have that took me 3 years actually to get. You know what I mean? So I was on hold for 3 years and I don't want to spend the money again. Honestly, me personally, I'm going to be in Panama. I'm going to be traveling. I got my legal business here. I don't want it. I'm not, unless somebody wants to donate a couple $1,000s and help pay for my flights to go and retranslate, re-get all this stuff because it expired. No. So what happens is they basically want to do that. But there's also the way they wrote it is that they want you to live here for 5 years physically, which means you have a lease under your name, phone under your name, and all of this. Why? Because there is a way, if your attorney is smart enough in this country, where let's say you had a company in Canada or United States and it has 5 years or more, you open up a corporation here, you link it with that, and automatically within that first residency you get, let's say it takes a year, now you qualify for the permanent residency right from the beginning with that. And they want someone not to be able to use that, not to utilize this. If they have a real estate company in the United States and now they link it with a new company here, well, they get their permanent residency, now they get the license. Can you show us that you lived here for 5 years? No, but I have a permanent residency. The association has been in this country for over 34 years, I believe. And hardly anyone, if you're not part of these Dominican guys that have the big companies and the big constructoras, nobody knows about them. I blew it up over the last couple of weeks on my show. People have been calling me. Everybody's like, there's an association here? Yes. Wow. AEI is an association, and they're sponsoring it. The other problem I have
is
that
are you looking over your shoulder or what?
I don't give a shit, man.
No, how much money do these guys got? How much? How threatening are you to their
What
business?
are they going to do? Deny me? No matter what they do, they're going to just show that I'm. I mean, I'm just saying. Nobody's going to do anything because this is business. But at the end of the day, you're trying to bankrupt me, right? And I've got 5.5. I'm closing out 6 years of blood, sweat, and tears to maintain a business here, paying taxes and stuff like that. I don't think it's fair, and it's not fair. Somebody has to represent. We have no representation, right? Expats have no representation here in anything. So the only business, have you noticed the only business that makes money where we have representation is real estate? And now that they're attacking that, if you guys really care so much about legality, okay, I'm with you. Kill the overstay program. Kill the overstay program. Why is the Dominican Republic the only country that has an overstay program? Overstay in Panama, you have to pay thousands of dollars to leave and you can't come back for 3 years or something like that. Sure. Why do you have that? Oh, because the real estate market will crash if you do that. So everything is fine in the immigration world, except now in the only industry that makes money and where expats have because other expats want to deal with us. Dominicans that are Americanized want to deal with us. So what they want to do, it's a hostile market takeover. And I saw that and I spoke up. I can't sit there and take it in the butt and pretend that that I don't see what's going on. We're not even welcome in your association. I have 30 years license. Other people have 5, 10, 15 years license in Canada, and we can't sit down at the table with you. And then some company here who's like, we need licensing and doesn't even co-broke their listings has the right to talk about ethics. If you don't have the first step, the first pillar of ethics, which is co-broking your database and splitting 50-50 with everybody else, you cannot sit at the table with me and talk to ethics. Ethics, please go work on ethics for 2 years, then come back and sit at the table with me. Because it's not fair. It's not right. It's like the prisoners wanting to tell us how to run the prison. I think, that's not the right way to do it. And, what are they going to do? What I want to do with my attorney, I want to file an injunction. I've raised up enough over the last couple of weeks with people. And we're going to say, look, if you have an SRL, especially now, there has to be a grandfather clause. You cannot sit there and bankrupt people, families that have been invested, because there's no difference in it for me. Investing in an SRL, paying taxes, being registered, then saying, I bought a property. Now you say the property is not mine anymore. I have to put a Dominican person on the title. What's there if it sets precedent, right? It's like legal precedent. If you can cancel me on one thing on SRL, right? My right to work under this, what is there to cancel me on something else? Now, saying that I have to get a license 100%, we are all for licensing. I will say that we are all for licensing, but they exclude me after 5-6 years. And it says it in the thing, you have 6 months to get a permanent residency that takes about 6 years. So they give you 6 months to do something that you have 6 years to get. No.
Understood.
No, I mean,
So,
I'm not comfortable
are
with
you
that.
public about the approach you're going to take? And I encouraged you privately, obviously, to take a strong look at including, foreign credentials in that type of.
They
because
won't. They won't. They don't care.
They have to,
They don't.
dude.
I had a conversation. I can't say with who in the chat. It was not a conversation. This discussion. We're arguing, right? And basically, the words were, and I'll show it to you in private. It said, "Your 30 years of licensing in the U.S. means nothing here." That's their take on
But
this.
if you're doing this all publicly, and your cards are all on the table, and you're saying, "Here's my amendment," why wouldn't you throw it in and make them take it out?
I could.
Make them react
I
to
can
it.
talk to my partner. The thing is, in theory, between you and I, right? In theory,
course.
it makes sense, right? But legally, one country's laws, like, oh, I'm a lawyer, and that's another thing. I don't know if you saw my podcast, but did you know that lawyers from here can do a thing through the Dominican Attorney Association of the United States and practice law, but we can't do that here?
Okay, which way does it work?
Dominican lawyers through the Dominican Legal Association.
Right.
I had a whole show with my friend Pablo that we did, right? And
They
he's
can
part of that,
practice in
everything.
the States?
Yeah, but we can't practice. Our lawyers in the United States can't do it here.
Oh.
So you start to see, I mean, come on.
Surprise.
How less representation? You want to sell to me? You want to sell to my people? You want to sell to us expats? You want us to come give you our hard-earned money, our life savings, but we can't be part of that unit together. Because, see, I'm not talking about exclusion at any point. I have Dominicans that work with me. I have people from everywhere that work with me. All I'm saying is inclusion and talent. Yesterday, in listening to the audio, an article came out that said that the Dominican Republic is at a crisis stage, basically, in finding talent. We know that if you're looking for a guy to drive a motorcycle to deliver food, if you're looking for a guy to sit there with a shotgun or basic stuff, there are 1,000,001 people that can do that. But when it comes to quality people here, it's very difficult to find talent. So if you're going to remove it, let's say 75, 85% of the expats that are in the real estate business, you're removing talent, right? Okay, let's say those 85%, let's say 25, 30% are pure garbage, right? But you're still removing 50% of the expats here that are in the business that are good talent in an industry that is lacking talent in a country where it came out yesterday. You can look it up and list. I actually have it translated and saved in English, and I'm going to publish it, put it in the groups this week. I have it set to do that because I usually hit the translate button before I put it so people can see it. They have a lack of skilled people in the country. So when there's a lack of skilled people, you also want to cut some of us out of it. And listen, we talked about this on my show yesterday. What made me stay in the Dominican Republic when I closed my bar and I separated from my ex-wife? The fact that I was legally allowed to open up a business and work here. If not, I would have went somewhere else. I would have went back to the United States. I would have done whatever. But you can't 6 years later punish me now. Now it'd be like, nope, sorry, we're gonna do this thing, and if you can't get 6 years worth of work in 6 months, and I'm not. When I say right? I want to make it very clear. I'm not just talking about myself. I'm defending all the expats that came here. I know people that came here 2-3 years ago from the States, from Canada. They're working, they have offices, they pay taxes. What are they supposed to do? What are they? And it's just not right. If you're going to regulate it, okay, then you should have permanent residency to be a builder. You should have permanent residency to do anything in this country, including purchasing. And let's see where that goes then. And then you'll watch the economy crumble in 6 months.
Speaking of the economy, speaking of the economy, and I know you can pick up right where you left off, even though I interrupt you.
No worries.
I want to get your read on the market, both for transactions and rentals, because that's where expats are making money. They're interested in, they're buying properties, or they have bought properties, many properties, some of them over the years, done quite well with it. And I don't have the experience of the length of time to know that at the middle of September, all the bookings in my area for Christmas and New Year's are open. This has been a very slow low season as far as I can see through my marketing and requests and stuff. Now, it's obviously, I don't do the number of transactions. I'm not in a big office. I'm a one-man show type of thing. So I only have my personal experience to go by. Last year, I managed 5 properties during high season. It was a ton of work. I was busy. But I think this late in the year, I was booked up last year. And when I've got for instance, Caribe Campo, I got a place coming online here And so I'm checking all the Airbnb bookings for the holidays. They're all open at every price range. And I'm like, whoa, that's interesting. And so I saw Anthony today. He's got the Anton Reef VIP on Pedro Clisante. Local guy, built his own hotel, does really well. I think he's probably at 300K net. He declares every penny, pays tax on it all. Super legit guy. He bought the old building beside the Victorian in East Cabarete across from Texaco. He's got 15 one-bedrooms on the beach for 109, 50% financed. Like, that stuff is not, you don't find that. And I had an inquiry today from my YouTube, and he's just like, you think this thing will increase in value? And I had to laugh. I go, I'm a 30-year salesman. And not your typical realtor. I'm not a big fan of realtors, but I've been in one for a long time, but like 109 on the beach, and you've been in my head a lot because location. You don't see those deals even in small town Cabarete anymore. But I just wondered about your take. Oh, anyways, long story longer. Anthony has increased his room prices at the Anton Reef. He's always like he does about 75, 80%. As an average, like he does well in the off season, and he's fully booked in the high season. And he raised his rates, and he says it's busier than last year. And he's the first guy. I had an expat come from Cana. He's like, "Hey Jimmy, I hear it's going to be a really great high season." I'm like, I see no evidence of that at all. Like, I know money's tight back home. The COVID funds have dried up. I don't know if I heard this on your show or somebody else said that the tourism is dropping, the expats are cashing out and coming. So they're buying homes, they're not tourists though. So the tourist dollars aren't necessarily, especially this year. But I think we've got a large market of boomers in North America that are going to go say, what? My electric bill's $700, or my HOA fee went up to $9. Like, HOAs in the States are going crazy, right? So I just wonder what your take is on the activity, both for purchases, expat purchases, and what you see out there, a little you might know, or maybe you know more about it than I do, of the Airbnb or the rental market.
Okay, so I'll explain to you what I think, especially here, the Punta Cana market, right? Because this is my main market here. I hear from you guys what's going on the other side, but I can tell you here, they've overbuilt and they're going to continue to overbuild. With that being said, you have prime properties, right? And I think that the properties that are beachfront in Bávaro, Corrales, where you were at, where we met around that area, the ones that are walking distance to the beach, there's certain properties always, like you said, your friend, right? Your friend that has a really good thing going on, and you can get a niche in any market. If you really know what you're doing, you price it right, you get the right following, you follow up, his marketing might be really good to return clients that are coming back to his hotel and things like that. So there are always people that are going to do well no matter what the market is like. The election year is definitely affecting a lot of things. The United States is a shit show. Speaking for the U.S., I'm just a U.S. citizen, so I can tell you there are a lot of things on hold. Money's tight. A lot of people are unhappy, and I think a lot's going to happen after the election, right? What I'm seeing here, so many people in Dominican Republic and here in Punta Cana bought for Airbnb, and a lot of them are going to have a rude awakening because they went to these brokers that are like, yes, it does not matter where it is, you want to buy it, it's good for Airbnb, and they got taken by these guys, and then they bought places which may be very nice, right? Like, on the highway there are a lot of nice complexes, right? And these places are nice. Okay, nice pool, nice little apartments, cute and everything like that, but how are you, and they told you were going to get $100 a night, but meanwhile you can get something $50, $60 a night by the beach because there's so much property available. So far, it's really slow right now too. I'll tell you, Punta Cana is slow. There are not a lot of people out. I don't go much to Corrales, Cortecito, but that's just a small part of it. The rest of the area is slow. What we're seeing, the traffic that I complain about and all that, that's a lot of people that live here, work here, trucks, workers, and things like that, because they are still building and people are still buying because a lot of people don't realize, a lot of people bought not necessarily to live in it, but to either Airbnb and flip it, sell it for more. The ones that bought during pandemic obviously are making money because, if you bought a one bedroom for $80,000, even at $100,000 right now, you're making a profit, right? So that's not here nor there. But I do feel like it's slow. I feel like, the numbers, they talk about all these numbers. Well, yes, the resorts, listen, for every 1,000 apartments they're building, they're also building 1,000, 2,000 rooms in a hotel. You got to understand, they're building resorts everywhere. I know on your side of the island, everybody's like, oh my God, we're going to blow up Bergantine. No, ain't going to be nothing from that. They're going to build their own stuff. They're going to keep their own money. They're going to run their own tours, their booking tours there. They're going to do everything. It's just going to be an extension of Playa Dorada. That's it.
Yeah,
I don't think, you think they're going to build that and that's going to revitalize? Oh, come on, Johnny. They've been saying that about everything. Oh, yeah, they're going to do this. I've been hearing it since 2015, 9 years, and I haven't seen a change, right? And then I see the guy, what's his name, the educated traveler, showing how empty the streets are.
No. We're not going there. Next topic.
Well, the only thing I like his videos. No, his videos just show you it's empty. He's like, I'm at the beach, it's empty. Everywhere, it's empty. So I'm like, okay, so if he's running around the beach and he's crying that it's empty, right? You know what I mean?
Get me started on Tony or whatever his name is. Mr. T, shut up.
I want my hookers! Why will you take my hookers away?
What the hell, man? Talk about
this town was built on hookers.
Bro.
No.
Oh, I only got one thing to say. I mean, come on, man. You're going to come to another country and want to change everything? Fuck. Why don't you just go
he doesn't
back?
Want to change it.
Oh,
no,
dude, did you see him during COVID? He was, don't wear your mask. Don't wear your mask. Shut up. Let them wear their mask.
He's trying to keep it like it was in 2010. He doesn't understand. I want my hookers. Look at the quality. It's gone down. We need a national for hookers.
I made it the whole show without dropping an F-bomb. Anyway, that's funny. I can't believe he got dropped on my show, man. Next thing I'm going to have to pay. I have to take a $30 ad on one of his videos to make up.
He does video shots of the street, so you see the actual street, and there's nobody on the street, and there's nobody here.
Dude, you know what I'm gonna put up on my YouTube channel? I'm going to live stream. I'm gonna pirate a bunch of. Oh, by the way, I pirated your show last week, but I missed it this week, so I'm not sure exactly what you talked about. But I did live stream you while you were like live. I totally pirated your shit last week.
I'm for it.
2 weeks ago, put you on Twitter. I forgot what I was gonna say. Where I was going. Pirated. Oh, I'm going to live stream just like streetscapes and beach shots. You remember the guy that had Malibus, Danny?
No,
he was on the beach. He was here for a while. He had a beach cam that was live on his website or his YouTube channel. I think it was Whiskey Run. It was called or something. Whiskey and Run.
I remember that. Yeah. And there's one in Cabarete too, a live cam.
Right. At
Kite Beach or something like that.
Yeah, it's right at
Kite Point something.
Oh, it'll come to me. But yeah, the hotel owner's got a beach shot there. Anyway, the Danny, when he had his live camera that was showing the beach, people all said, no, turn it around so we can see the people walking by. You remember those shows that they had late at night where it was like a cameraman walking through the subways and walking through the city, and they just put it on for filler? People like... And down here, I know they're weird about, like, back at home, if you're in public, you can be recorded. And you can't say, you don't have my consent. There's none of that. You're down here, that might not be a law. It's probably not. And also, the girls don't like being put on camera. Lots of the locals don't like being on camera. And if I ever, mostly with kids, I'll get everyone's consent first, but especially the parents. If I'm taking young kids, can I put them on YouTube? And they're like, yeah, sure, no problem. But it's totally different here. But yeah, when Danny moved it from the beautiful scenery of the waves crashing on the beach, everyone's like, can we see the people? So he turned to people so I'm going to put like maybe 4 cams, steal them, and just throw it up on the Buying Dominican Republic channel and broadcast it here and there. I mean, it takes a lot of power and resources, and I'm running a private ship here, but it's just a laptop. So, but I think that'd be maybe some good footage.
People like to see the movement. People like to see the movement. They like to see that stuff, you know. Mm-hmm. And even here, but here it's hard to show it because here it's so spread out. Everything we're spread out everywhere. But I do feel like it's slow right now, and I think it's just also has to do with North America. You know, it has to do, that it does affect the politics. That do affect us. They might not directly to a certain extent, meaning daily, like our daily life, but it does affect policy. Like, I don't know if you saw that guy, the representative from the United States came down here and was like, y'all got to do stuff for the Haitians. And all of a sudden they're like, we're going to do stuff for the Haitians. The U.S. has massive influence. This is massive U.S. control. Whether people like it or not, I know like a lot of the locals, they get, Captain Dominica. Yo, bro, there's nothing you can do. It's the U.S. allows, the Dominicans are number 3 or 4 in visa-approved applications for the United States. For a tiny nation of like 11 million people on our planet, For them to be number 3 or 4 that I put up the stats recently to get visas approved in the United States is a lot. They're like number 3 or 4 in overstays, illegal, and nobody really bothers them as much as they bother other people. So the United States gives this country a lot of leeway and a lot of money and a lot. I don't know why. I have friends that are Marines, and I was like, you guys are involved in international politics with all these Latin American countries. I'm like, you guys should know that. I do. We don't understand, because normally when we have these kind of good relations, like when a country like has the good relations that the U.S. has with the Dominican Republic, you'd see a base here, and we don't have a base here, which is kind of throws off all military people. But whatever's going on is going on. What do you call it? But and also the Biden administration named it a big way where like a big hotspot for drugs. And everybody was like, why is he saying that? And then Puerto Plata today is all under DEA control. You saw that? The DEA raided the whole Puerto Plata, helicopters.
I didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
What?
I have friends there. They call me up. They're like, we got choppers everywhere. The whole city's on lockdown. There are cops everywhere, whatever. Yeah. Look at the news when you get off with me here. No. Yeah, they had a joint DEA. The DEA, the feds, and what do you call it? Dominican police did a giant ring bust of I said, shit, the economy for Puerto Plata's down for the next 2 to 3 years now. Drug dealers spend money. People don't realize that's what kept during COVID. That's what kept the economy alive.
What? Say that again.
Drug dealers, big drug dealers, cartels and stuff like that. They keep the world economy going. I don't approve it. Don't take it, out of context. When people are watching this, say, "Hey, I'm not saying start a cartel," but I'm just saying that it's well known that drug money, right? Because there's a $1 billion being spread out to everybody involved in these things, and they generate so much money that they actually keep the economy alive during hard times.
Talk about keeping your money local. There's nothing like keeping your money local.
But you know what? And I'm glad you brought that point up, right? When we talk about the real estate people that are making money that own businesses in the Dominican Republic, there's a huge difference between us and people that go abroad, right? Because, people are like, oh, let's keep it local. Okay, but if I go to New York City and I say, hey, I'm only going to a restaurant that's owned by American, and I'm only going to go buy sneakers from a place that's owned by American, then I'm considered a racist. Also, another thing is that here, us expats that make money here, right? We don't send our money back home. We keep it here. This country just got like $7 billion in remesas or whatever, and I don't know what quarter, whatever. I look at all these numbers, right? We don't. We take the money that we make here and we pump it back into the economy, whether it's to the people that work with us to buy cars, food, clothes, spending it out and everything like that. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, when I see legislation that treats us like we're dogs, when we pump all of our money back into the economy after investing here, I'm not okay with that. You know what I mean? And I have to think about that. It's like, like you said, watch over, are you watching over your shoulder? I don't know. Maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. But at the end of the day, I'm East European and I'm from New York City. And there's 2 things I can't do. One is shut and the other one up, because if I see something and I feel like it's wrong, it's a personal attack on my people. Who are my people? The expats. Even though I argue with a lot of them or whatever, but it doesn't matter. I've traveled through Latin America and I've realized that, being from New York City, and I said this on my show, when I'm from New York City where everybody has representation. You have lawyers, judges, cops, politicians from your home country, or at least from those roots, right? We have nothing. And not just here. In general, what country can you go in Latin America and say, hey, man, there's a Canadian mayor. He was born in Canada. There's a police officer in my community that was born in Canada. There's a lawyer that was born in Canada or New York or the U.S. or England or Spain, right? Where can you find these people throughout it? But you come to my country and we have it everywhere. So we need some kind of representation. We need some kind of, come on, I just don't don't tread on us on every single thing. You know what I mean?
That's racist. Just for AI, I'm going to say when it's a split screen and this voice is speaking, I am Jim Fannin, the host of Buying Dominican Republic. And when it's full screen and when the other voice comes on, that's Mario Fama RD. And he is described in the description and the title of the video, Mr. AI. AI is a man, right?
Yup. AI's. I went yesterday they invited me to a conference and I got to learn a little bit about AI and how it works and how it's going to affect the real estate market and everything. So it's pretty interesting. It's the future, whether people like it or not.
I love you, man. I think we're coming up on an hour already. 48 minutes. Oh, okay. So usually an hour flies by, and I've always felt like, it must be an hour already because I'm getting kind of bored with you. So anyway, brother, I don't want to keep you too much longer. What do you need to say to wrap up? Is there anything that we can do? And please, invent a possibility that might not have existed before we had this conversation as far as what would be included in a formal suggested amendment. And
Very easy.
yeah, I mean, like expat credentials, like foreign. If you're a realtor,
Foreign credentials would be great.
Yeah.
Foreign credentials would be great because they passed a law where Dominicans with a driver's license from here can go to New York City and go get their driver's license right away without residency. And we can't do that here as of now. So that would be great. But the other option, just like every other business, is you open up an SRL, you get registered, you pay your accountants, you do what you have to do, and you pay your taxes. Because the SRL, in essence, is like, you know how in the United States, like a corp or an S corp, sub S, whatever. It's an entity, right? It's an entity itself. So I myself, doesn't matter if I'm Chinese, French, whatever, I open up an SRL, that's a Dominican entity. My Dominican entity here in the Dominican Republic has credit. My car is under the company. Everything here is under the company's name. Are you right? Everything is under the company's name. So what happens is that you should be able to open up an SRL and you should be able to have your license as the SRL and you promoting the SRL is it a way for you to do business. And anybody that wants to work under you, if they don't qualify with the residency or whatever, and allow said people, if they do, because I know a lot of people want to join the association. I am not against that, right? I think it's great to have an association for those that want to be a part of it, but accept us. Don't make it like, yes, you're not a permanent resident here. Don't talk to me. That's super classes, right? That's super. I don't even know what to call it. Something is. No. There's an is somewhere in the work world for that, right? And I'll tell you another thing, because people say, well, why don't you just go get your thing? You know why they make residency hard in this country? Number one, I'll explain to you, and I'll be 100% clear, because I know people ain't gonna like it, but I'm gonna tell it like it is. Number one, they have the issue with Haiti here, so they've made all these things. You gotta go back to your country. You gotta find this affidavit. You gotta do that. Now, mind you, I've done the residency process in another Latin American country, so I'm giving you examples. I'm not just pulling stuff out of my hair, right? Because I don't have any. So I'm giving you the explanation when it comes to that. Now, they invented all this to make it very difficult for Haitians to become residents and citizens here. That's number one. Number two, the overstay program is created because it generates money, right? People paying every time they leave, snowbirds and all of that. But you know what? There's another thing that happens. I'll give you an example. If you own an SR, if you are not a resident in this country and you don't have a cedula, right? When you do you take out the 18% of the taxes from the commission, right? But as an expat, there's a 27% retention. As a local, there's a 10% retention. So who don't have cedulars also pay more taxes. They also cannot get the credit cards under their names. They can't get the deals, the low percentage rates. They can't get the 0% financing for 12 months from the store. They have to pay for all of that stuff. They have to pay everything in cash. So there's a money factor. There's an equivalent money factor and taxation factor to you not being able to get. You understand what I mean? It's in everyone's best interest that you as an expat does not get residency. Financially wise, especially if you're doing business here.
Interesting.
People didn't know that.
Interessante.
But now you know, and knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe.
Well, I need more Espanol for gringos.
Ñame. Today's Spanish word of the day is called ñame. Ñame.
Spell it.
Ñame. The N with the accent mark on top, AME, like name, but with the gives you an accent mark.
Ñame.
So that translated in English is yam. You know the yam?
Okay.
The vegetable?
Uh-huh.
But when you call somebody a ñame, that means you're so stupid. You're like a freaking vegetable. It's like a broccoli head. Like you have nothing in here. You're like a potato. Like it's because the yam's a form of potato. Imagine calling somebody you're a potato head. So you call them a ñame. Like you're a ñame. You don't think there's nothing in here, eh?
Once in a while, I break out my Italian kikatsu fai, and every Dominican knows what the fuck I'm talking about.
Well, there's like a billion. I think there are more Italians living in Latin America than there are in Italy.
Have you seen Italy lately? No wonder. Dude, I'm so grateful. You know what? I think it's taken me, I'm coming up on 3 years. I think it's taken me this long to figure out that I was actually happy, or no, I was actually very unhappy back home. And I don't suffer, clinical depression. I have my days. I'm a little moody sometimes, but no, basically I'm an extrovert. I love how you put it when we met the other day. I'm a hermit. Would you say a hermit?
Introvert, extrovert.
No, a hermit. You said a hermit extrovert. I'm like, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
like a
that's
Hummingbird.
me.
A
You,
Hummingbird.
you can't get me out of the house, but when I get out of the house, I'm in the life of the party. Maybe not it, but
The weather plays. Listen, I got to tell you, the weather, right? As someone who I come from the Northeast,
so easy
you know,
to take for
not as
granted
cold.
too. You take it for granted.
Listen, New York City, growing up, right? New York City, as we call it in our slang, was lit in the summertime, right? When this gets warm, man. New
And
York City, the good, the
September
bad,
is so
and-
depressing. Even though football's coming up, Labor Day weekend comes, and you're just like, oh, here it comes. I know, and I don't love winter, but it was always so depressing. Now Labor Day, it's like, oh, good, football's coming. Like I didn't realize that the environment I lived in, that I grew up in, was naturally making me unhappy. And I think I've said this to you before, but just in case I haven't, I have taken, when I was back at home, I took every opportunity in the summer to be at the beach for coffee in the morning, for the sunset at night, a couple times a day sometimes, watch the sunset, watch it, even in the winter, in the worst weather ever, I'd go out to see the blizzard come across the lake and just chill. You know how many sunsets I've seen since I've lived in the Dominican Republic? In 3 years?
5.3.
Yeah, maybe under 10. And maybe my 10th one was just 2 nights ago. I go to the beach when my friends come to the beach or my clients are on the beach and they go, hey, I'm at 321, get down here. Okay, I'm out. If anyone ever, if Natalie, which has been known, Natalie and Brittany get rolling, they're like, we're picking you up at 7:30, you're going out with us, we're getting, you know what, tonight. I'm like, I'm out, I'm ready, I'm 20 minutes early, you know what I mean? But getting me out is a whole different thing. But down here, I'm just finally starting to get clear on how unhappy I was at home and didn't know it. And how easily the 300 days of sunny and 80 plus weather, how easy that is to take for granted. And if you want to go, and I'm so glad I made the trip to Punta Cana just to put my feet in that pink sand. It's so cool. And right around the corner here at Puerto Chiquito, which I just discovered over by the old sandcastle, the
Right.
sand
The
is
hotel's
finer
there.
on that beach than it is anywhere in Sosua or Cabarete too. And I'm like, oh, look at this. It's like really fine. And I love that. But yeah, I just been finally getting clear on, holy shit. I didn't realize
The
I was
weather
so
plays a
happy
huge
back.
part.
I was so unhappy back home. Holy shit.
The weather is everything. And the only other place that I found myself where I kind of like a little bit of cool, right, is Medellin. Because Medellin's very interesting. It's like in the morning, like 6 a.m., it's freaking raining and chilly. At 11 a.m., you're in the pool in shorts, and the pools are all heated there, so you're chilling, getting sun or whatever. But then you go out at night and you have like a little vest on or something like that. So it's like
Nice.
super. That's the only one that I found
like that.
I like as much as I like the hot weather. Because yeah, you sweat, you shower, it doesn't matter. I got my AC
I've
blows
gone
in the
through,
car.
I've
I got AC
literally
everywhere.
sweat through 3 shirts today. 3 clean shirts today. And that's before
I'll
noon.
take that though over the
Before
cold.
noon. Oh, damn straight. But
But it's
before
not
noon.
just cold. Listen, it's just as cold. It's also getting darker earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you think about it, New York City has a couple of months where at 4:30, and I've
December.
never been a 9 to 5er, but I feel sorry for
Mm-hmm.
them. But like the 9 to 5ers, right? They go in early in the morning, and sometimes if you go
Getting
really early in
sad.
the morning, it's dark, and you get out and it's dark, and it's 4:30, 5 o'clock. It feels like
No
9
good.
o'clock. It's brick, like
No good.
brick city cold and all of that. Oh, sweet baby Jesus, I don't like that.
It took
I
me a
don't
little
wanna
while to
live
get
like
used
that.
to the fact that the sun doesn't go down at 10 o'clock here in the longest day of the year. It's kind of, and one of the expats said to me one time, it's kind of like, roughly it's 7 to 7. It's 6 to 7:30. It's,
Right.
it's 7:30 to 6. But roughly it's like 11 to 12 hours, and it's always the same. It's always 7 to 7.
But what, wait, for you guys, the sun goes down
No,
at 10
down-
p.m.?
Yeah, at home in Ontario on August 21st, or sorry, July 20 or June 21st, the sun goes down around 9:30. Like it's not dark until 10.
Holy moly
late.
cannoli, I didn't know
Well,
that.
it's the same as New York. It's not much different.
No. New York is the same thing, 7:30, 7:45, I think.
No,
I think
no, the
because
longest
New
day's
York
gotta
is
be
almost
9
on the
o'clock at
same.
least.
We're on the same almost parallel
Yeah, I think
as
so.
Dominican
It's
Republic.
still
'cause we're
close
like
to.
kinda
If
like
it's not
this.
9:30, it's 9 o'clock. But whatever, it's a lot later, and it doesn't. There's never.
I'm gonna look into that now. Now you got me looking into that.
Well, you do that. Okay, I'm gonna do that too. Anyways, brother, I
winter's
love you. Thank you for your
4:30.
time. What else is going on exciting for you in Punta Cana other than what you're working on? And I appreciate the time you're dedicating it to it because I don't think it, I know it personally threatens your financial success in this country, but I really appreciate that you're standing up for other expats. But what else you got going on other than that? You got the new podcast, you're fitting in nice at the studio. What else is going on?
Got the law firm going on. That's been going great. We're helping people. Oh God, the stories I have from that. That's going to be a show. I have to do like a movie for that, or like a 6-part Netflix series or whatever. So that's really great. I'm working on the launch for the Panama office, which will be next year. Then because the licensing takes a while there. Then also I'm going to Colombia in December. That's going to be great. Go to see my friend there, and I'm doing a thing for the kids. We're doing like 200 kids, I think. Bags, my company here, sponsoring it with the military from Medellin. So that's going to be pretty cool because my friends are all like, I hang out with a lot of like cops and Marines and stuff. So we're doing like this military thing with the Colombian army and giving like 200 kids school bags and things like that for Christmas and stuff. So I've got that going on, go home, see the family. So I think the next 2 to 3 months are going to be super, super, super like I think I'm going to blink and it's going to be like January. So, yeah, a lot of stuff going on right now.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate your time here. I know you got a lot going on, but and it's such a natural conversation. I think it's just information-packed as well. So I appreciate your generosity with your time, and thanks for coming on, my brother.
Thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
All right. Peace out, yo.
See you soon, brother.
Yeah, definitely soon. I drove all the way down to Punta Cana. I took... Oh, don't take me. No, it's too close. Don't take me. My grandmother used to say that. Oh, Jimmy, I had to get out the VHS camera. Oh, don't shoot me. Don't. Don't take me. Don't shoot me. Don't shoot me. Okay, Grams. Drove down to Nagua, east on the north coast, to the highway that goes through the mountain, down to the south shore. You land just on the other side of Santo Domingo if you go that route. And then it's an hour and a half to Punta Cana, east, on the south coast. So I would have driven to Santiago. I would have went towards Puerto Plata and then went south to Santiago, but a friend of mine said, no, go to Nagua. And it's a beautiful ride. But yeah, it took me 8 hours. I stopped a bunch of times, took some videos, some beaches on the way. But once you get to Nagua, it's about 3 hours to Nagua. There's nothing much to see after that, but don't speed. Drive your 80 kilometers and that's it. And nice to see you. I got a couple brooms in the background. You're welcome. I finished my beer. I only had one in the house, and I had it only because Mario was drinking the beer because he was almost killed today on the way to do my show. And I hope you appreciate and got some information from that. Having said that, I think I've given my mouse a few problems. I can't minimize the zoom space, but I can minimize the window and then drag it off camera. And do I have the right crop here? Yep. So here is my man on Facebook. I'll put it in the comments section. But most of this stuff should be in the show description. Mario Fama RD.com. That's, in case you don't speak Spanish, that's Mario Fama RD.com. Here's his YouTube channel. What are we doing? Copy. Control C. Suddenly I forgot. Control V. And then here's his TikTok over here. Oh, that's why I forgot, because it's been more than a day since I did it. Okay, so there we go. There's my boy. Great information. A lot of love for my boy. Got to meet him in person there not too long ago. 3 weeks ago, I drove down to Punta Cana. So, yeah, it took me 8 hours, stopping here and there. I called him when I hit the South Shore. I said, I'm on your coast. He says, well, take it easy. just call me when you get to your room, you get settled, and I'll come out and see you. And he did. And because you know what? When I got there, I'm kind of like a hermit extrovert, just like my boy. So we had many drinks, and I did not need help sleeping that night. And he paid for everything. I didn't eat that much, but he had a few snacks, and we were at Ono's in Bavaro, right on Bavaro Beach. I got a room on the beach for, I don't know, $80 or something like that. I don't usually stay on the beach when I go anywhere, but I figured, what the hell, I'm going to Punta Cana, and the sand is pink and fine and beautiful, and the people are just as beautiful as they are anywhere else on the island. So, yeah, it took me as a solo trip. It was a little painful. My tailbone was super, super angry with me, and so was the. What is the bottom? What is the number of the rib on the bottom of your left side that gets bruised from being in a seat in a car for 8 hours, roughly? The thing was chirping at me a lot. So, anyways, in case you missed it, AI, this is the image of Jim Fannin now on a full screen for the first time. What's up, Twitter, YouTube, DLive, Kick, Facebook, and LinkedIn. If there is a platform, there's a chance I'm on it. No thanks to Instagram and TikTok, who've made it so complicated to stream on your platform. It's not even worth it, unless I do it live from my phone. So, peace, love, hug your neighbor, and I am